So it is day one of Arthurian April, and I said that I would be here, and I did not realize that the first day of Arthurian April, of course, is April Fool's Day. And so, in a most perfect opportunity, it's to feature Sir Dagonet. You may have never heard that name, and you may wonder why on earth that would make any sense. But for since the 14th century or so, King Arthur's court had its own jester, its own fool, and his name was Sir Dagonet. He sort of appears in some of the early Lancelot stories and then is often intertwined with stories of Sir Tristan, Palomides, that whole crew, the whole Tristan and Isolde love triangle and whatnot. And in Mallory, which I'm going to read to you in a second, I have multiple copies from our friend Thomas Mallory. But by the time we get to the Victorian age, he's no longer just sort of this like funny guy who was probably made a knight as a joke. He actually becomes almost like a seer. He's sort of is sort of poetically aware of the downfall of Camelot and all the things that are happening. And so it's sort of the wise fool trope that sort of appears in a lot of work around in the Western world in terms of courtly literature, that even though he appears kind of, entertaining, he is in fact pretty aware of things that are going on. He's also often used to play tricks on other people. He rescues Lancelot at one point, and it's not really super helpful. But, everyone needs a little comic relief. So I have this absolutely beautiful edition of Mort Arthur. This is based on Caxton's manuscript, I believe. It's got some absolutely gorgeous art inside of it here. This was from my great aunt's collection, and it's by Russell Flint in terms of the drawings and watercolors that are in it. So there's some beautiful illustrations throughout. You can see this particularly lovely one here. I keep meaning to scan these at some point because I am absolutely in love with the art style. Just absolutely gorgeous, gorgeous pictures. But I'm going to read just a little bit of from the Mort Arthur, which sort of the first, I wouldn't exactly call it a novel, but the first collection of someone who really tried to put all of these stories in context in one place. So it's a little dense. I'm not going to read all of it because it's a lot. You can see that the pages are super, super dense. I have another version, which is the Vinever translation, which is much more sort of in the language of the period. So it's in sort of 15th century English, so a little less easy to read and understand, but this particular edition is rather lovely. I love the chapter titles. They basically tell you exactly what's going to happen in the story at that point, and it's very much of a telling, not showing situation. So this is from chapter 14 of book 9, I believe. The subtitle is How Sir Tristram Soused Dagonet in a Well, and How Palomides sent a damsel to seek Tristram, and how Palomides met with King Mark. So literally, we get the whole thing. So I will begin. And upon a day, Dagonet, King Arthur's fool, came into Cornwall with 2 squires with him. And as they rode through the forest, they came by a fair well, where Sir Tristram was wont to be. Of course, because we just hang out at wells. It's a thing that happens occasionally in the story. Palomides also likes to hang around in wells. And that the weather was hot, and they alighted to drink of that well, and in the meantime their horses brake loose. Right so Sir Tristram came unto them, and first he soused Sir Dagonet in that well. He dunked him in the well. And after his squires, and thereat laughed the shepherds. And forthwithal he ran after their horses, and brought them again one by one, and right so, wet as they were, he made them leap up and ride their ways. Thus Sir Tristram endured there and half year naked, and would never come in town nor village. The meanwhile, the damsel that Sir Palomides sent to seek Sir Tristram, and just keep in mind, Sir Tristram kind of loses his mind for a while. This also happens to Lancelot. Kind of fascinating that in Arthurian legend, there's actually sort of space for men to kind of, in particular, sort of lose their marbles a bit, and sort of a mental health commentary, and this whole sort of like, he's obviously misbehaving and bothering the fool, but he's also doing this half naked and running around as well. He's done a bunch of other things leading up to this. This all has to do, of course, with Isolde and King Mark and all those great things. So the meanwhile, the damsel that Sir Palomides sent to seek Sir Tristram, she went into Sir Palomides and told him all the mischief that Sir Tristram endured. Alas, said Sir Palomides, it is a great pity that ever so noble a knight should be so mischieved for the love of a lady. But nevertheless, I will go and seek him and comfort him, and I may. So, you know, it's rather fascinating to see kind of like all these characters playing together. Palomides being one of my absolute favorites. If I were to ever write some more series, it would certainly be about the triangle between Palomides, Isolde, and Tristram, or Tristan, depending on your pronunciation. But yeah, that's just a little bit of a peek of Dagonet there, and another absolutely gorgeous picture here of La Belle Isolde, I believe. So yeah, in case you didn't know, now you know. Sir Dagonet, the fool of the court of Camelot of the Round Table, changes throughout the periods, started in the 14th century, and though not one of the most popular, very appropriate for the shape of the world as we are, in terms of a wise fool foreseeing and portending the future, as well as sort of a poetic comic relief, because Lord knows we could all use it. So that's today's view into Arthurian April and the story of Sir Dagonet.